Hey guys, Jeremy here with Simple Little Life. One thing we haven't done on this channel for a while is vlog a knife build. You know, where we just do a couple of days consecutively working on a knife. So we're gonna do that right now. The knife we're gonna build is gonna be based on this little template. This is actually the very first knife making video I ever did on this channel, and it's my Bushcraft style knife. This knife is gonna be, well, I can't really say who it's for, what it's for. I'm making it as a gift. But if I tell you about it, it's gonna give it away in the video. So it's gonna be a mystery to you guys, but that shouldn't affect us making the knife. The steel we're gonna use is AEBL, 1/8 inch thick. I've got some really crazy wooden scales I'm gonna use for this. Check those out. Those are like, it's like Damascus wood. This is going to be one of the features of the knife. A little mosaic pin, the old maple leaf. The one thing I'm not sure of is whether I should put it like centered on the blade or if I should put it offset to this side. So need to still sort that out, figure out what we should do. Anyways, this could be a fantastic little project. I'm really excited to get going and I'm excited to take you along. All right, since we're using a template, we're gonna go ahead and put some layout dye on the steel. Now, I always like using this spray can layout dye rather than, you know, the bottles of blue dykem in the brush. This stuff, when you knock it over, it can't spill. You can't get blue dykem everywhere. And it's just so much more convenient. I like this stuff way better. That should be good. We've got a general profile there. Now there's one thing I'm not entirely sure of with AEBL, and I don't remember. I've used this stuff before, but I forget whether or not it likes being cut with a portable bandsaw. A lot of the stainless steels, they work hard and so quickly. I mean, all carbon steels, I've never had an issue with carbon steel, but sometimes the stainless steels, I know Nitro V, I can cut in this thing no problem, and seeing as that Nitro V is derived from AEBL, I assume that this should cut, but I just don't remember from the last time I did it. So we're gonna give a start on the portable bandsaw, and if we have issues with it, then we'll have to jump outside and cut it up with an angle grinder. Not a bad day to be outside though. Oh yeah, it's cutting just fine. This is one of the reasons why I don't give away knife templates. I get asked constantly, like 5 times a day, can I get a template for that? Can you give me the template for that? The deal with drawing a knife is that, you know, when you draw a knife, you pencil it in, you make that knife, and you use that knife. You kind of get a sense for how that works. And if you want to become a great knife maker, you need to understand how the design affects the performance and the handling. You know, if you draw a weird line or you come up with a really cool shape, but you hold it in your hand and you start working with it and you're using it, and all of a sudden you're getting hot spots, right? Maybe you get blisters here, or just it feels too big in this section, or kind of weird, not enough grip in another section. That is all very important stuff for a knife maker to know. And if you're gonna spend time making knives, you may as well have the head knowledge and the understanding of the design of knives. And I truly believe you cannot get that by copying somebody else's template. So that is why, and I know a lot of people get all mad and they all like, it's like, I don't care. Honestly, if you wanna be a better knife maker, design your own knife. That's my rant. Okay, rant over. Now, the next step of this process, I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna drill our holes now. So right now we have to decide where we want this fancy pants pin. My original thought was to put it right smack dab in the middle. There, oh boy. Sometimes for me, the hardest part about making a knife are choices like this. I think what we're gonna do is right in the middle. Okay, so obviously there's a lawnmower going outside, but check that sucker out. Oh, he wants outside bad. Oh no. Thing is huge. Oh, that thing, a bee, a wasp, it looked like a bee, but I've never seen a bee that big. It was this big. Anyways, like I was saying, what I've decided to do, I think, is we're gonna put the pin right in the center of the handle. Initially, I thought that would be kind of weird, but kind of looking at it now, I think that's gonna be the best way to go. Just get that pin right centered, and then we'll do our 2 steel pins, stainless steel pins on the other side. I think that is gonna look the best. Can't let you see other projects. Okay, so we've got this thing all cleaned up. We've got our inside grooves all done up. Feels really comfortable in the hand. I'm happy with that. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of draw out where we want roughly, well, we're gonna mark out where our plunge line's gonna go, and then we're gonna draw where we want our handle scales to terminate on this point right here, right at the ricasso. And then once we've got that established, we'll kind of measure the center and put our pin right in the middle there. And then, yeah, then we'll line up for these last 2 little guys right here, ping, ping. And for those, we're going to be using these are stainless steel Corby bolts. If you've never used these, they're pretty neato burrito. They kind of thread in like this. You drill holes, you counter bore for this thicker part, assemble the whole issue, and then when you're done, you grind off the slot, the little tightening slot. So basically you take 2 flathead screwdrivers, tighten these things on, and then once all the glue's set and all that stuff, you can grind those slots out, and it looks like you have a pin. Really nice, because what we're going to be able to do is kind of partially assemble this thing, and when we grind out our wood, we can actually get a really close, pretty much a perfect fit before glue up, and then take these out, and boom bada bing, we're ready to glue this thing up. Let's see, yeah, we're gonna go right there, and then right there, and right there. I used to get really fussy and, you know, measure these things out, but the more I do this, the more I realize that, you know what, sometimes just eyeballing it, marking it. Obviously, I'm going to measure to center my holes this way and this way, because I want it centered in here. I mean, you don't want a pin sticking out this way or that way, so we're going to measure the center this way. But as far as the spacing like this, I find that it's really hard to notice if it's not perfect once it's on the knife. So we're going to go ahead and lay that out, and we'll drill those holes. This knife, I'm actually going to do all my grinding post heat treat. The reason for that is warpage, and sometimes it's nice when you start grinding a knife to just be done with it and just go all the way. This isn't a huge grind, and I'm not going up too high with it, so I figure, you know what, it's probably not going to be that bad to just go ahead, heat treat it first, and then do our grinds after. What we need to do real quick, I've got the kiln heating up. We need to go ahead and make a foil pouch for this thing, and what that's going to do is it's going to prevent the oxygen from getting at the blade, which would cause decarburization, and that happens once we get to the really high temperatures. You know, when you're quenching at around 1500 degrees or so, it's not quite such a concern, but we're going to be doing a 1950 quench on this, and at that temperatures, with the oxygen getting at the blade, it'll actually eat the carbon in the blade, and we don't want that. That's a bad thing. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap this thing up, create an airtight pouch. I'm also gonna cover this, sprinkle it with baby powder. The reason for that, I'm not so sure about ABL. I forget the last time I worked with this stuff, but when I use Nitro V, a lot of times at those temperatures, it almost welds the stainless steel foil pouch that we make around this to the blade itself. So I don't want that to happen. I find, you know what, boom, put a little baby powder on there, solves the problem. So let's go ahead and get that done. Now, a lot of people put something combustible into their pouches, a little piece of paper or a little piece of wood. I don't do that. I don't like it. What I do instead, I just try and squeeze all the air out, and I find I get a really good seal. I don't get it puffing up too much. When I put paper in there, all my pouches would puff up, and sometimes they would you know, kind of open up at the seams. That's no good. Also, I don't know if it's a big deal. One thing I like to do is put the edge away from this thickness. In theory, this is going to cool down slightly slower than this. I don't really think it's actually that big of a deal, but beauty. We got this sucker ready for heat treat. Now for the heat treat, I'm going to be doing 1950, and I'll do about 25 minutes. And yeah, we are almost there. Wow, wait, that's hot. All right, so let it sit there, and then we're gonna give the old plate quench. All right, let's see how she turned out. Beauty. Pretty nice and straight. Oh man, I am so pleased with how straight this is right now. Hopefully it remains that way throughout the rest of the heat treating process. The next step in that process is going to be a 400-degree temper. We'll leave that in there for about an hour and a half. And my wife is actually on the way back from the city right now, and she's got some dry ice for me. I'll leave this overnight in a solution of dry ice and acetone, give it a cryogenic treatment, and then tomorrow morning when we come back to the next video, we will be doing a quick temper cycle on this. Not quick temper, another temper cycle on this. And then we'll get to grinding in the bevels, marking out the bevels, grinding the bevels, shaping up some scales. Hopefully we'll even get them glued on tomorrow. All kinds of fun stuff. Anyways, guys, that's gonna wrap it up for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did like the video, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel if you have not done so already. As always, I thank you so much for watching. Cheers.